Drake May never deserved to be MVP. That's the reality of it. And I was going live today before I got restricted for 3 days. Won't be able to go live until midnight the night of the Super Bowl. Fucking bullshit, TikTok. Bullshit. But either way, I did say this on live, and I do want to reiterate this. I am hard on the Patriots. I hate on the Patriots, obviously. Drake May was the second best quarterback in the NFL this year. He really was, man. He really was. He dropped some dots. The kid can play. The kid can play. Putting him in top 5 conversations is crazy. He wasn't better than Matthew Stafford this year. You can take all the advanced metrics you want, all of your EPA per play, adjusted completion percentage, DVOA. I don't really care because I look at EPA per play defensively, and according to EPA per play, the Saints have a better defense than the Packers. And I feel like if you ask anybody that watched the sport this year, the Packers definitely had a better defense than the Saints did, but not according to EPA per play. All these advanced metrics, whatever, man. They're cool. They're useful. I like what I see with my own 2 eyes, and Matthew Stafford was better than Drake May against good opposition. And you look at the main argument, and that's, well, he has Devontae and Puka. Well, without Puka, he threw 5 touchdowns against the Jaguars. Without Devontae, he threw for 250 against the Seahawks. So against the best competition, without one of the two, Puka or Tay, he was still putting up ridiculous numbers. And some of the highlight throws he made were to like a Jordan Whittington or a Tutu Atwell or a Colby Parkinson. Like, yes, Stafford had nasty weapons, obviously better weapons than Drake May, but he also was dropping seeds left, right, and center. He threw 100 more passes and still had less interceptions. He threw the most touchdowns in a season since Aaron Rodgers won his second MVP in 2020 or 2021, wherever it was. I think he had like 48 touchdowns or whatever, something stupid. So, yeah, Matthew Stafford deserved to win MVP. Drake May was easily the second best quarterback in the NFL this season. I still think it's malpractice to put him above Joe, Josh, Pat, or Lamar or Stafford. Like, you can throw Drake May at 6. I won't bat an eye. I think Jayden Daniels is better. Jayden Daniels was better in the playoffs last year. Jayden Daniels played better against better defenses than Drake May has, but I can completely understand why you'd put Drake May above Jayden. And I am a Jayden guy, obviously a Drake May hater. I'm just trying to be as transparent, as unbiased as possible, and I feel like that's a fair stance on the subject. But unequivocally, I think anybody with real ball knowledge that watched the games and didn't just let these 4 weeks marinate, even though both of them played and one of them played significantly better in the playoffs. But like when you just put the numbers side by side, yeah, it looks like Drake May had a better season, but context is so important, and eye test is ultimately the final decider for me. And you can literally find, like, you can literally type in Drake May snub. There'll be a montage of his best throw this season. Matthew Stafford MVP. There'll be a montage of his best throws this season. And Matthew Stafford's are just so much more impressive on like all three. Like literally so much more impressive. The only thing Drake May does better than Matthew Stafford is his mobility. That's literally it. So Matthew Stafford is the best QB in the league this year. Rightfully deserved MVP. Drake May was the second best quarterback. It shouldn't have been that close. The people that voted for Justin Herbert, what are we doing? I mean, I tried to play, like, I played devil's advocate, and when you look at the carry job Herbert did, like, he definitely warranted some second or third or fourth place votes. Definitely not second. Like, May and Stafford were easily the most 2 valuable players to their team, but third or fourth, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind a Herbert nod here. Come on, first, what are we doing? Like, he did carry a lot in the regular season, and I feel like a lot of us forget that it's a regular season award as well. Herbert wasn't better than Stafford or May in the regular season. He just wasn't. He just really wasn't. You could argue he was better than Josh in the regular season because Josh did have a way easier schedule than Herbert did, and he only won 2 more games, and Josh really did punt on a few of the Bills' games this season. The game against the Dolphins, he was asked. The game against the Falcons, against the Texans. So you could argue Herbert was more valuable than Josh was, or he had a better year than Josh did. But giving Herbert a first place vote is obviously crazy. But I also think it's crazy that Drake May had 1 less vote than Stafford for first place votes. I think that's ridiculous. And I think the past few weeks in the NFL show that one thing is true, and that there is a real voting problem in the NFL. Whether it's in the Hall of Fame process, it's the AP voters, they need to switch something up here, okay? First of all, in my opinion, Stafford and May was never close. whatever. Half the internet disagrees with me. That's fine. Justin Herbert getting a first place vote is ridiculous. Josh Allen getting first place votes is ridiculous. Second and third or fourth place votes, not even second, really third or fourth place votes. I agree. Trevor Lawrence was more valuable to his team than Justin Herbert was this year. You can argue it either however you want. Like Herbert didn't have as much help as Lawrence, but Lawrence was definitely the better quarterback down the stretch. Either way, the MVP voting was ridiculous. It's been ridiculous the past like 3 seasons. I honestly don't think I've agreed with an MVP for the past 5. Like the year Rodgers won it and Brady led the NFL in yards and touchdowns. I thought that was crazy. He should have won an MVP that year. I thought Josh should have won it the year he had the most touchdowns in the league. I didn't mind Josh getting it last year as much as other people did, but I could totally see the argument for Lamar. My argument for Josh was like he led the second best scoring offense in the NFL without a 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard rusher. Like he carried that Bills team more than Lamar carried the Ravens, but Lamar's numbers were also ridiculous. He didn't turn the ball over at all. But a lot of those numbers came against the Giants in week fucking 17 last year. Like the MVP has slowly become like who plays the best football in December, which it didn't become that this year, or Drake May would have won it. So I guess it hasn't become that. But the narrative, the talking about it has become that. It's like because May had a stinker against the Raiders in week 1, that doesn't matter because it's week 1, but he throws 5 touchdowns against the Jets practice squad in week 17, and all of a sudden it matters. So it is a regular season award. That 5 touchdown performance needs to matter as much as that stinker against the Raiders in week 1. Despite it being week 1, that was still part of the regular season, you know? So that's just where my thought process comes to the voting fatigue, to the AP voters. I think they're all over the place. I think we need some new ones, obviously. Like the year that Rodgers didn't get a unanimous MVP, one voter voted for, or he was just a Bears fan. I forget who he voted for, but it wasn't Rodgers, and Rodgers was one vote away from unanimous MVP. There should be no bias on. Like I don't think I should ever be allowed to vote on the MVP because I would have never voted for Tom Brady when he was on the Patriots. I would never vote for Drake May. Like I shouldn't be allowed to vote. Like a guy like me who's got so much emotional, who gets not emotional, but is very passionate about his team and about the rivalry that is New York City and Boston. Like I should never be allowed to vote on anything pertaining to MVP, AP, Hall of Fame, whatever, because of my biases. And that needs to be held same with these other voters that are clearly biased, clearly have allegiances, or are just plain up fucking stupid and trying to be different, giving Justin Herbert a first place MVP vote, which is crazy to me. And I understand Herbert was valuable, but I don't know how you could logically come to that conclusion in your head that one, in my brain, that anybody was more valuable in the and nobody anybody was better than Matthew Stafford in the league this year. I don't know how you could get to that conclusion. Number one. Number two, I don't know how you could get to any other conclusion that Drake May wasn't the second best player in the league either. Like it was clear 1 and 2 in my eyes. And then you have Herbert. Like, you could argue Herbert wasn't even a top 4 QB in the league this year with the way Trevor Lawrence finished the year. Like I don't know. It's a weird year. But overall, Drake May's season, if you don't have him in your top 10, you're a fucking idiot. That's as a Jets fan, I'm saying that. If you don't have Drake May in your top 10, you're a fucking idiot. I also think if you have him in your top 5, you're just as stupid because there's no way Drake May is better than Stafford, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow. You can't put him over any of those guys. You just can't. I'm not saying for the future. Obviously, you'd rather have Drake May on your team for the next 10 years than Stafford, right? But I'm talking about one season next year. Pick your best 5, 6 QBs. I think there's easily 5 ahead of Drake May. Me personally, I'm still taking Daniels. I think there could be arguments for guys like Dak, Hurts. I almost said Purdy, but I don't want to say Purdy. But there's arguments there. But if you have Drake May at 6, I won't crucify you for it. That's where I've come to. That's the conclusion I've come to as a Drake May hater. Some of these other awards, though, Offensive Player of the Year, it's a tricky one. I think I like JSN or Puka could really go either way. It really could go either way. I wouldn't have been mad if they gave this to Drake May either. I think it's tough. So here's the way I break down. After JSN and Puka had the years that they did, we need to revisit the top 5 wide receiver conversation. And here's how I do it. I still think Jamar and Jettas are 1A, 1B. Whoever you want to put at 1, that's fair. I still lean Justin Jefferson. I think his skill set is just going to last longer than Jamar's is because he doesn't rely on his yak ability and his burst and his 0 to 100 and his ability after the catch as much as Ja'Marr does. And I feel like your route running, your separation ability, that just lasts longer. Like, look at Devontae Adams, right? But if you value Yak more than separation, then you can put Ja'Marr over Jettas. I don't care. And then it's Puka and JSN right there, right? I take Puka over JSN right now because we've seen Puka have elite production for multiple seasons. And I think that's really fair. They're both elite wide receivers. They can both do a little bit of everything. JSN's a better pure separator. Puka's a better contested catch. Puka's better after the catch. But JSN's, I'm a separate, like I value separation. Once JSN has another year of like 1,500 yards, like if he can replicate what he did this year, even 75%, then you can put him above Puka. But Puka has had elite production for like 3 or 4 years now, 3 years now, 4 years now. So for that reason, I put Puka over JSN, and I think that's completely fair, man. And then 5, I think. You know what? I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm putting Garrett Wilson at 5. I don't give a fuck. It's crazy because I'm more confident in Garrett Wilson's ability this year or now, even when we played like 6 games, than I was at the beginning of the season. And it has nothing to do with Garrett Wilson. It has to do with Justin Jefferson's production with garbage quarterback play. And his production with garbage quarterback play was about the similar, honestly, a little bit worse than what Garrett Wilson's production was the first 2 years of his career with just as bad garbage quarterback play. And if you're going to sit here and be like, Zach Wilson wasn't that bad, you're wrong. You're fucking wrong. And it wasn't just Zach Wilson. It was Zach Wilson, Chris Streveler, Tim Boyle, Mike White. It was awful, bro. It's as bad as McDog shit. Or JJ McCarthy. We don't call him McDog shit anymore because he had a few games down the stretch where we revoked that nickname. I don't know if it was ever as bad as Max Brosmer. I mean, Tim Boyle was pretty garbage. Max Brosmer was one of the worst QBs I've ever seen in my entire life. So in that instance, okay. But seeing Justin Jefferson, who I still think's the best receiver in the fucking league, put up subpar numbers for his standard with garbage quarterback play, just instills more confidence in my belief. And I don't think there's anybody that believes in Garrett Wilson more than I do. It just instills more of that because I've seen Garrett produce similarly to Justin Jefferson with garbage quarterback play, just as bad quarterback play. So that has me thinking, like, if you swap Garrett and Puka, why can't Garrett produce as much as Puka did? I mean, I don't want to say just as good at the contested catch because Puka has, I think, separated himself a little bit, but Garrett's not that far off. Garrett's better after the catch and Garrett's a better route runner. Like, I think if you put Garrett in the same spot Puka was in that McVay scheme, I think he can produce just as much. If you put Garrett if you swap Garrett and JSN, I think he could lead the league in receiving. I really do. That's probably a hot take. Definitely a little bit of a homer take. I'm not going to say it's not, but I think that's fair considering you see what Justin Jefferson did with bad quarterback play and what his production was. And you look at Garrett Wilson, you see what his production was with bad QB play. And Garrett's not the only one. Like, I think if you put Malik Neighbors on the Rams, he's going to produce as much as Puka did. If you put Malik Neighbors with Joe Burrow, he's going to produce as much as Ja'Marr does. Like, I just think that's the case. But you can't throw these guys that high yet in the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 conversation until they do have the production, because they don't have the production. And you can eye test a player all the live long day, but for them to really breach and get into that elite tier, they need to have the production. You know, they need to. Some other guys that I think you could flirt with in the 5 spot, I think Malik and Garrett are definitely up there. I think George Pickens and CeeDee is a real conversation. I still think CeeDee's better than GP, but there's a real conversation to be had there. I feel like I might be missing an obvious one. I think Drake London's tremendous. Very underrated player as well, who's dealt with some garbage quarterback play. No rookies this year. I look like Abuka was on pace, but I don't think he's there yet. I think I got to cool on the Devontae just a little bit, even though he would have had like 1,200 yards if he didn't get hurt at the end of the year. So I think you could still throw Devontae top 10. I'm not gonna be too upset about it. AJ Brown is still in that conversation for sure, but he's a little bit of a head case. Devontae Smith is also, he could be in your top 10. I wouldn't be mad. T. Higgins could be, I don't know if he could be in your top 10. I wouldn't put him in the top 10, but he's top 10. I'm just thinking out loud here. Chill episode today. I'm definitely forgetting someone, completely disrespecting someone. And it's going to bother me. Olave, Oh, Amon-Ra. I still think Amon-Ra is a little bit overrated, but he's just production year in, year out. But yeah, I think that's where we're at with the receiver right now. I'd really have to think about it. We'll do lists when we get deeper into the offseason, obviously. I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got. Oh, offensive player of the year. It could have went to Puka or JSN. Good for JSN. 23 seems to be the year that these receivers are winning offensive player of the year because that's when Jetta's won it. Jamar should have won it last year. I still think that's a highway robbery that Jamar got robbed of offensive player of the year next year. It's way harder to win the Triple Crown than it is to rush for 2,000 yards. And Saquon Barkley doesn't run for 2,000 yards if he wasn't running behind the best offensive line in football. And I guess if you want to counterpoint that, you can say, well, Jamar doesn't get the Triple Crown if it wasn't for Joe Burrow. And that's also fair, but I think it's way harder. There's way less factors that go into producing as a wide receiver than there is that goes into producing as a running back. You can be the best running back in the world, and if you're running behind a garbage offensive line, you're not going to produce. And on the counterpoint, you could be one of the worst running backs in the world, and if you have a good offensive line, you can average 4 yards per carry. So I think it's more impressive to win the Triple Crown than it is to run for 2,000 yards. Me personally, not to discredit anything Saquon did last year. I just thought Jamar was on a whole different level. And I think Joe Burrow had a real case for MVP last year, but he didn't make the playoffs, even though that's a team accomplishment. Either way, yeah. Defensive player of the year, it was always Myles Garrett. Love to see Will Anderson get some love, but it was always Myles Garrett. Not much to talk about there. Rookie of the year is an interesting one. I think they got it right with Tet. If Jackson Dart never got hurt, he would have been the offensive rookie of the year. That guy was unbelievable. My buddy, he's a Giants fan, texted me. I think he had like 24 touchdowns or something. He's a dog. He's a dog. Obviously, wasn't as good after Dable and as good after injury. He obviously has to protect himself a little bit better. But I think if he stayed healthy, he would have been the rookie of the year. Tyler Shuck, if he started the whole year, he probably would have won it, but he didn't. I think they got it right with Tet McMillan. Emeka Egbuka fell off a fucking cliff. He fell off a fucking cliff. I'm pretty sure that guy's odds were like minus 400 or something stupid to an offensive rookie of the year at one point. I think Baker was nursing a little bit of an injury. I think that's absolutely the case for his fall off because I went back and watched some of Baker's throws earlier in the year. He was fucking so locked in. I think he definitely was playing a little bit injured this year because he was just high. He was just inaccurate in the second half of the year, and we haven't seen Baker Mayfield really be that inaccurate over the past 2.5 seasons up until that point. And it was weird. I think he had to be playing with an injury. I really do, and that hurt Emeka's stock as well, 100%. But you want to know who the two best rookie offensive players were this year? It was Gray Zabel of the Seattle Seahawks and Armand Membu of the New York Jets. When are we going to give offensive linemen some love? I know we just gave the offensive lineman, shout out Joe Thuney, Protector of the Year award. That's still not enough. Like, they just get no credit, and there is not a position group that can impact a game more other than quarterback besides the offensive or the defensive line. If you have good receivers, it doesn't fucking matter if your offensive line can't protect them. If you have a good running back, it doesn't matter if your offensive line can't protect them. If you don't have a good defensive line, but the D linemen get credit. The offensive linemen still get no recognition. Like Gray Zabel and Armand Membu were more dominant rookies than any of the skill position players that were nominated for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and they just got no love. Like Gray Zabel got a couple of votes, and he should have won it. Or Armand Membu should have won it. Like those guys were incredible for what they did as rookie offensive linemen. And I think it's a harder transition to go from an offensive tackle in college to an offensive tackle in the NFL than it is to go from a wide receiver in college to a wide receiver in the NFL, which is why we see offensive linemen take more years to develop. It's very rare you see offensive linemen come in and dominate the way Gray Zabel, dominate the way that Armand Membu did. But you see receivers come into the league and dominate every year, like Puka Nakua's rookie year, 1,400 yards. Ja'Marr Chase's rookie year, 1,400 yards. Justin Jefferson's rookie year, 1,400 yards. Malik Neighbors last year dominated. Like, you see that transition way more often with skill position players, running backs, especially running backs, receivers. You see that transition way more often than you do with offensive linemen who come in and dominate the way that Armand Membu and Gray Zabel dominated this year. And Armand Membu's sack numbers are up, but no quarterback had more time in the pocket than Jets quarterbacks. Like, I'm pretty sure they're top 5 in time to throw. It's just Justin Fields can't read a defense, took so many garbage sacks, you can't block guys forever. So I think that the offensive linemen still don't get enough love when it comes to these NFL honors awards ceremonies. Protector of the year is not enough. The clear best offensive rookies this year were two offensive linemen, and they barely got any love. They were better. Like, they were better than Tet McMillan. Like, Ray Zabel and Armand Membu were better players in the NFL this season than Tet McMillan was. No disrespect to Tet. Defensive player of the year, I don't hate that. I think Carson Schwessinger was unbelievable, and Nicky Manwari was a dog. It would like I think it could have gone either way. I think people are gonna I think the voters are going to get a lot of flack. Like, it should have been Eamon Warrior. It should have been Eamon Warrior. I just don't think guys watched Browns games. Carson Schwessinger was flying all over the fucking field from week one, bro. That guy, the transition was seamless. He's a dominant inside middle linebacker, a top 10 middle linebacker in the game. Flies all over the fucking field. Tackle machine, good in coverage. He deserved Rookie of the Year defensively. It's just he's not in a fun position. His team wasn't as good as Seattle's was. And Nicky Manwari plays in a much better fun position. I heard somebody much better fun position. What garbage podcasting that is. I heard somebody refer to the new defensive back, like the new Kyle Hamilton role, Nicky Manwari role that Mike McDonald has kind of established. They referred to it as like the slot safety. I think that the slot safety is a new position. We're going to see every team with a slot safety. Caleb Downs is going to fit that role immediately. And I think that over the past few years, Mike McDonald has single-handedly raised the draft stock of the safety position. Because if you can get an athlete like Nick Eamon and Kyle Hamilton and see how they can transcend a defense and all the versatile ways you can use them, it's not just drafting a guy that's going to cover his deep half of the field or his deep third of the field, which is why it made sense. Like, you can find rangy guys to do that in free agency or in later rounds of the draft. So why take a safety? Top 10 overall. But now you're seeing what you can do with elite athlete like Nicky Manwari, like Kyle Hamilton, and how they can line up all over the field and be a real Swiss Army knife. That's only just going to get these DBs that aren't lockdown corners or aren't playing on the outside just drafted higher and higher, like a Caleb Downs. So I think, and these guys were around. Like, Jamal Adams was kind of like that, but he wasn't good in coverage the way Nicky Manwari and Kyle Hamilton are. Ed Reed was more of a free, Ed Reed did everything. I guess we've seen it, but we just haven't seen it in the way that Mike McDonald has done it, with the way Kyle Hamilton was lining up and still is lining up. It's just, yeah, I think that's something interesting to monitor. Comeback player of the year, I don't even see who are the nominees here. CMC. Dak could have won it. I think Dak had a fucking terrific year, but CMC was awesome. Almost another 1,000 year. Protector of the year, Joe Thuney, valid. Offensive rookie of the year, talked about it. Who was the man of the year? Bobby Wagner, congratulations. Salute to Service Award. Nice. FedEx Aaron Ground Player of the Year. Nice. I don't know if where's the Coach of the Year? That's what I want to talk about. Mike Vrabel had a fantastic year. He didn't do a better coaching job than Liam Cohen or Kyle Shanahan, respectfully. And I am a Jets fan, and maybe I'm biased, but Kyle Shanahan navigated a million injuries and on one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. Mike Vrabel played 3 teams that finished the season with a record above 500. And that's not Mike Vrabel's fault. I just think it's way more impressive what Shanahan did considering the injuries, and it's way more impressive what Liam Cohen did with this Jacksonville team that was worse than the Patriots were last year, finished with the same record or one less loss. I think Cohen and Shanahan deserve the nod over Vrabel. And before you run to the comments and go, Vrabel's in the Super Bowl, it's a regular season award. Like, I don't know how people voted for Vrabel at the end of the regular season, because that's when these voters vote. Like, it should have been Shanahan or Cohen easily. As of right now, Vrabel's definitely done a better coaching job because he's coaching the fucking Super Bowl, right? But at the time, at the end of the regular season, I was easily Shanahan or Cohen in my eyes, and I think they messed that up. Good for Vrabel, though. I mean, he is one of the best coaches in the league. The Jets fan aside. Like, I'm pissed that I was upset with the hire in the beginning. Listen, I said back in July, if Drake May's the guy, the Patriots should win a bunch of games. And Drake May was the guy, and the Patriots won a bunch of fucking games, okay? I just picked Drake May not to be the guy because I'm a Jets fan. Like, that's what's going to happen. But yeah, man. I guess we can get into some final thoughts before Super Bowl 60. I'm pissed I got banned on TikTok Live. I was gonna go live for like 7 hours that day, literally through the entire Super Bowl. That's not the case now. I will be live that night at 12:05 a.m. It's brutal. That's just a horrible timing to get restricted. Either way, I'm not that nervous. Like honestly, I'm pretty confident that the Seattle Seahawks are gonna beat the fuck out of the Patriots. I really am. Like unless the way this I said it earlier, I said it on my previous episodes, but Seattle wins if Sam Darnold has a shitter, bro. That's really it. And even if he does have a shitter, I could still find Seattle in a position in the fourth quarter to hang around. I really love the under. Some things that do concern me a little bit, and I'd be lying if they said they didn't. Like Drake May, North Carolina boy, warm weather. Maybe he can throw the ball a little bit more accurately. I think he will be able to throw the ball a little bit more accurately. But I also think the Seattle defense is going to be all over the place. There's going to be nowhere for Drake May to put the ball to begin with. I don't think anybody's getting open. So I don't think Drake May is going to have that bad of a game. I really don't. The weather does matter a little bit. Like he's a pussy. He doesn't play in the cold. He's objectively a pussy. He's been bad in the cold. He never played in the cold a day in his fucking life. He grew up in North Carolina. So he's a pussy. But this game's being played in warm weather. I think that's point Drake May, right? I'm not worried about Diggs. I'm not worried about Ramondre or Travion. I'm not worried about this Patriots O-line. I think they suck. Defensively, like I'm worried about Milton Williams. As you guys have known, I've been very bullish on Milton Williams. I think he's incredible. I mean, I was watching tape on Milton Williams earlier. That guy's just unblockable. I'm not worried about Gonzalez, Christian Gonzalez, at fucking all, bro. I think he is become incredibly fucking overrated. I do think so. Like he's a top 5 guy, obviously, but they're talking about him. Like I saw some Patriots fans genuinely say, "Yeah, we pay Christian Gonzalez the big bucks. He's got to follow JSN." That's a fucking awful matchup. You lose the game. If the Patriots go man to man, Christian Gonzalez on Jackson Smith-Njigba, they're going to lose the game because he cannot guard him one-on-one. And all I see is people bringing up last year's game where JSN played the Seahawks or JSN played the Patriots and he went for like 120. Like, well, Gonzalez was on DK in that game. DK had like 150 fucking yards. It doesn't matter. Like, DK is a guy you can lock up too. Like, DK is a guy that's been locked up by premier corners in the league. I'm pretty sure one of them was a busted coverage, but either way, if Christian Gonzalez is shadowing Jackson Smith-Njigba, the Patriots will lose the game. That's a horrible matchup. I think there's the only people in the league that I think, the only person in the league that I think could have a chance matched up one-on-one following JSN the whole game is Patrick Surtain. That's it. To say Christian Gonzalez at the same level as PS2 is what you're implying when you say that Christian Gonzalez should follow around JSN the whole game. One, the Patriots will lose. JSN will have 150. Two, that's incredibly disrespectful to PS2. Gonzo's not going to follow. That'd be fucking suicide. So I'm not worried about Gonzo. I'm not too worried about. I'm talking like I'm a Seahawks fan. I am, I guess, for this day. For this one day, I am a huge Seahawks fan. I'm not worried about the coaching experience either. Like that's another talking point that's been tossed around a lot. I think Mike Macdonald's a fantastic fucking coach, dude. I think Kubiak's a fantastic coach.